podcast. I am your host, as always, Sean Tyson here with Zoo and Peebush. How you guys doing?
Absolutely brutal weekend for the Chicago Bears. I'll just open it up with that. And congratulations to Tom Brady. That's all I got to say, man. That's all I got to say. 600 touchdowns. I just hate that it had to be against my Bears, man. That's it.
Wow. As a bystander of that game was quite beautiful for my boy Chris Godwin getting a tutty, man. He got a tutty. I think, this Tom Brady guy, man, everybody gets tutties with Tom Brady, man. Leading the league in touchdowns, man. He already has over 20 plus touchdowns already after 7.
On pace for 50 plus.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. And I gotta do shout outs to my Chicago Bulls getting it done against the scrubby dubby teams, man. They almost blew the game. They almost blew the game against the Toronto Raptors. That was an epic collapse. Like that was some college collapsing type performance. Passing the ball, turning it over, missing free throws, just atrocious. But they got it done. 4-0, baby. 4-0.
Only undefeated.
Undefeated team in the Eastern Conference.
There you go.
In the Eastern Conference, we're the only team with 4 wins right now. So I'm just like, man, bring on the Knicks, baby. Bring on the Knicks.
Absolutely.
Speaking of the Knicks, that was a hell of a game between them and Boston. I think that was the first game, one of the first games of the season. That was crazy. Like I say, Evan Fournier, didn't really see him coming. I knew he had the reputation of being a shooter, and he got a really good contract, but that would be a nice factor for them going on if Obi and all the rest of those guys can improve. So shout out to them. And I would say we're going to be talking about the NBA a little bit later with the NBA top 75. A couple controversial opinions on that, but we're going to start with the NFL. Couple storylines as usual. You know, we're getting kind of to the halfway point with the NFL and things of that nature. A lot of teams are starting to separate themselves, and some teams we thought maybe early in the season had a couple of fluke wins are starting to look like, okay, this might be a serious contender. So I wanted to ask the guys their thoughts on the previous week with the NFL. And Zoo, I'm going to start with you on this one, bro.
Man, Sean, you know I got to bring up every week, man, after the Jets play. 54-13, man. This is so embarrassing, man. Like,
and he got hurt.
And they lost the QB, man. Like, on top of getting blown out by over 40, they lost their quarterback for the next 2 and 4 weeks. So,
yeah. 4 weeks.
Yeah, the Jets are like the worst football team I've ever seen in my entire life, man. Like, fantasy
no
football,
bright spots.
Pitch the defense against the Jets, man. That's all I got to say, man. It doesn't matter who it is. It could be the freaking Atlanta Falcons. I don't care, man. You play the Jets, you're going to get some positive puntos for the defense. So, pretty much that's always funny. But, man, oh, man, I'm looking at the Green Bay Packers right now. I'm looking at the Green Bay Packers, and it reminds me of last year. Like, very similarly, it reminds me of last year. Like, they're going to look good. That record going to be real nice again. Like, they might even finish first seed because their conference is not that good. You got the line, like your division, you got the Lions, the Bears, and the Vikings. Easy peasy, man. That's like some free W's right there. So free dubs, like, potentially they could get the first seed again. And if they get a bye, they got to coast to the potential Super Bowl. But I feel like history's going to repeat itself. They're going to lose again. NFC Championship. Like, I feel like deja vu is going to happen again. So I would be happy for now for my Packers in the regular season, but in playoff Packers, when they happen, going to drop a deuce again, man. They're going to drop a deuce, and Aaron Rodgers probably going to leave again. So that's all I got to say about my Packers, man. But outside of that, man, there's some weird games. Like, obviously, the blowouts. There were a lot of blowouts. Pat knows all about the blowouts for the Chicago Bears. Because my Lord, that game was unwatchable if you're a Bears fan.
I didn't watch it.
Actually, no, you didn't do it. Like the running back Khalil Herbert, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. Like
the only positive.
Like he's pretty good at football. And then outside of that, nada. Justin Fields. Not getting it done. Pick City. Man, how many picks does that dude have, man? How many picks? Like, he had like
I don't even know, but
he had 5 turnovers.
Yeah, he had 5 turnovers, man. I'm just like, man, these rookie quarterbacks getting shredded right now. So, like, even the Kansas City Chiefs, like, some of these blowouts, man, the Chiefs and the Bears, man, embarrassing.
What's going on with the Chiefs?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Really don't. Defense, the defense, but
like defense, okay. You give up 27 points.
Sure.
But the offense?
Yeah.
What? Harrison Butker's the only man that got points?
They matched the Bears, man. 3 points.
Man,
I mean, I don't know.
what a
I
weird
think
week of football. What a weird
Yeah.
week of football.
Mahomes has a lot in his shoulders with that defense, giving him, giving up leads early on, and he feels like he needs to almost make the play, right, and just keep forcing stuff, and you're bound to, end up getting a lot of mistakes coming out of that. He's got a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio right now. I think he's got 18-9 at this point. He's about to surpass his most interceptions in a season, which is 12. I think he'll hit it unless he just turns things around immediately. But look, man, it's not like they're getting hurt on offense. They're not, there's no major injuries. I mean, we know Clyde, but it's not like, Darrell Williams can't step in, right? He's had big games for them. So I don't know if it's their play calling's gotten figured out. Maybe they just need to shuffle around the offense a bit, their schemes. I'm at a loss for words kind of watching that team right now, because this is the most unexpected thing, I think, personally, outside of maybe the Bengals this year. As well as the Cowboys defense. I think those are some of the biggest surprises this year across the league. I do have to shout out Joe Burrow, man. The fact that I'm patting myself on the shoulder here, but I got Herbert and Burrow on my dynasty team, man. So I'm in good hands for the next couple of years. But look, man, their offense is clicking on every cylinder. Both their running backs, P. Ryan and Mixon, both scored. Jamar Chase looking like a god out there.
What the hell?
He about to break every rookie record. It's crazy.
He will. Yeah. I mean, he's got 750 through 7 games of his career. And then Joe Burrow just looking comfortable, man. I mean, he's not able to get out and run as much anymore. Obviously, coming off the injury, but it's not affecting him in the slightest. And I think he did throw 1 pick against the Ravens, but that Ravens defense got picked apart by this team that I think a lot of people doubted, purely based on health maybe and, experience level. But I think they're going to end up being I might say they could win the division. I think it'll be top 2. It'll be them and Baltimore. If Cleveland can't turn things around with Baker at the helm, now he's out. And Case Keenum did play well, but that AFC North, man, could become very interesting. And I think this game on the road for the Bengals was the pivotal one for them this season.
Yeah, man, that was an incredible performance. Like, Joe Burrow's coming off of catastrophic injury. Yeah. And this dude just looks like nothing has ever happened. Like, it just looks like nothing happened. Like, this guy looks pretty much the same as last year. Last year was a beast. Like, I was like, this dude turned around this Cincinnati Bengals offense. And when he got injured, that offense was just irrelevant. Fantasy-wise, real-life-wise, no production at all. So this guy legit is a franchise maker. And him and Jamar Chase, man, obviously, they got a little connection, college connection, man. But this dude, he got 201 yards off 10 targets, man. Like, he didn't even get the most targets on his own team. Like, T. Higgins got 15 targets for 62 yards. This guy on 10 targets got 201. And that one 80-plus yard run touchdown, man. What the hell, man? The guy looks like he gets tackled, man. Just a little shimmy spin move, man, gets the tutty. I'm like, God damn, this dude was going the 9th round of fantasy drafts, man. And it's like, my Lord. Like, how many times have I passed up on this dude in fantasy? I'm like, damn. Yeah. That preseason bias, man. Like, this pretty much says it all, man. Preseason means nothing. No. It means nothing, man. Because holy cow, this dude, I don't remember this guy dropping the football in the NFL right now. Like, I think the whole reason he was dropping because he was just a little rusty, because he didn't play his junior year of college, right? So, like, he didn't play a year of football. Obviously, you're going to be rusty, and obviously playing preseason, trying to get all the rust off. He got all the rust off and looking like he's a top 3 receiver in football right now. Like, his production level, like, he's up there with Devontae Adams and Cooper Kupp this year with total receiving yards. So, I'm like, it's a good company to be in right now. So, man, shout out to Jamar Chase, man.
He's scoring almost every game,
guys. Yeah, like especially 20, like, these aren't dicking and dunking. He catches like 20-yard passes and runs it in. I'm just like, unbelievable, man. Unbelievable pick. Like for the Bengals, like, a lot of the people believe that the Bengals should have taken an O-lineman. But then they went with wide receiver. A lot of people hate on the pick. And now they're looking like geniuses right now because they got a stud. They got the 1-2 punch for the future, man. 2 young guys to grow together. My Lord.
It's about scoring points.
Congrats to the Bengals.
Kind of sucks because I took Waddle. I had a chance to take Chase. Didn't think,
Yeah, because I knew that one of them was going to hit because, like, it was way too talented. It was going to be Jalen Waddle, Devonta Smith, or Jamar Chase. Like, one of them was going to hit. Like, I didn't know who it was going to be. And Jamar Chase, the guy that pulls off the, like,
Justin Jefferson last year, but better.
Just
True.
Because I think he's scoring maybe a little bit more than Jefferson is, so he's kind of helping a little bit more in that aspect. Yeah, I probably have to agree with you guys. I think the Bengals and Ravens was probably the biggest surprise. I guess if you're a Ravens fan, the only thing you can really tell yourself is that maybe they were just feeling themselves as that Chargers blowout. So then it was like the classic, oh, we're playing the Bengals. It doesn't matter. But still, to get pretty much destroyed from start to finish, it wasn't even like they had like a turnover run and like a couple things happened and it just got away from them. Like the Ravens played bad the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like I say, I agree with you people. I think that's an interesting storyline with the AFC North in terms of who's going to be able to take control of that division because there's 3 solid teams in that division. I'm not giving up on Cleveland just yet, hoping that Baker can actually come back. I think they're still going to be really competitive. And, the Steelers, I mean, I think their schedule has helped with how they kind of came back, but they're always a threat and they kind of have that I'm the bully on the block, so they could intimidate some teams. So that's going to be a really interesting division. I would probably say, Arizona, even though they're winning their games, I'm really interested in Kyler this Saturday, or not Saturday, but this Thursday. I know the Packers are going to be down a lot of weapons, but they still have a decent defense. And this will be a chance for him to be in the spotlight, I feel like, with it being a primetime game. And, a lot of people say West Coast bias, things like that. But I think this is a chance. If he plays really well, maybe throws for like 3 touchdowns, it could really catapult him in the MVP conversation. Because right now it's looking like him, Lamar kind of took a step back and Brady. Brady's actually got like, I think 22, 21 touchdowns, like 3 interceptions, which is wild.
Maybe King Henry too. That's probably
he's another guy. Because he's really close, I think, to maybe breaking that rushing record if he keeps at this pace too. Because he's pretty much is their offense. And I think I kind of need to give Tannehill a little bit more respect. I know it's Chiefs defense, but he does hit guys. Like he's not such a, game manager. Like when you look at a quarterback like Sam Darnold, everybody called him like a game manager type. No, he's better than a guy like that. Right. And he actually got benched. But I think Tannehill's actually pretty good. Yeah, he's a Darnold's he's a turnover guy. Like, I think a lot of people want to say McCaffrey's hurt. No, he turns the ball over. Like, and even if McCaffrey's there, they probably would limit his throw. So, you definitely want that. So that's going to be interesting to see how Kyler, if he can kind of take stage on a Thursday night game and show that he's one of these guys who can contend for an MVP. So I think that's one of another storylines I'm looking forward to. But in terms of just like the blowouts and the teams, I'm like 85% almost done with the Chiefs. Their defense, I think, is the thing with Mahomes. He just has so much pressure on him, and that doesn't excuse him throwing interceptions. But the defense is just, when you go out there, they're not going to get stops. They're not going to be good. And it's like they got worse from last year. So I think Mahomes is kind of going to be in a spot where he's just always going to feel like he's got to come from behind. And that ain't a recipe for success because regardless if you're coming from behind or not, you got to be able to have balance. And they have a running game, but, once you just, I guess you could say it's a matchup with Tennessee because Henry is just ball control. But I don't know, man.
He didn't even pop off that much, though. I think that was kind of the surprise.
That's why I would give him Tannehill a little bit of credit.
He got a passing touchdown, man.
Yeah, that's true. He did. That was a funny play. I mean, it was great.
Yeah, some tight end. I don't know who the tight end. It was not what it.
Michael Pruitt. Yeah. And speaking of that, man, I do have to give a shout out to Kyle Pitts, man. He is looking legit on the outside, man.
He did.
I mean, he's more of a, in my opinion, he's built like a tight end, but he plays like a wide receiver. Yeah. I think we've talked about that multiple times. Even with, I think it was more impressive, and Zoo, I know you and I talked about this, but the fact that Calvin Ridley was on the field this time and he still did that shows that Matt Ryan has built a pretty good rep with him and trusts him to really go up and get a ball. I don't know why they're putting one-on-one coverage with Kyle Pitts, man, because I know the Dolphins are not a great defensive team. They're 1-6, but you can't do that, man. I mean,
they thought they could do it with their number one corner, but he's such a mismatch. It doesn't matter. You got to have matter. And he. Like the only person probably could, like a bigger corner, like a Jalen Ramsey type of guy that's like a taller corner that's more physical. You can't because Xavier Howard's a physical corner, but he's I think right around 5'11", 6 foot. That's just Kyle Pitts he's already a physical specimen. He's just gonna run seam routes, and you're not gonna really be able to muscle him like you would maybe a Jalen Ramsey that might give him a little bit more of a tougher time. But yeah, Kyle Pitts is just a mismatch. He's wild. He's wild.
They're hanging around. I mean, there's a couple teams that. I know, Sean, you were asking about this, but any like kind of flukes at this point? You know, the Raiders, man, they're top of the division. I know the Chargers had a bye this past week, and so they're a half game back. But, you know, Raiders are sitting atop. Broncos are falling. Chiefs are very uncertain, like you said, Sean. It's obviously going to come down to the Chargers, right? And I think they'll end up taking it. But do you think the Raiders will hang around enough to maybe get a wild card in an AFC that's pretty jumbled at this point?
That'll be impressive, man. You lose your head coach, man, and you're still able to make the playoffs with all that drama that went on. That would be very impressive. But I'm not buying any Raiders stock, man.
Well, I'm trying to think who in the NFC.
Because look, it's the Bills, right? Bills are going to win their division.
Yeah.
You know, the Patriots are hanging around 500. Raiders are top, half game up at 5-2. Chiefs, Broncos, both 3-4. You do have the Ravens and Bengals and the Browns. And then you have the Colts that are hovering around 500. So right now the Raiders have tied for the best record in the AFC right now with a couple other teams. It is early, but we are reaching halfway. So I don't know. They're an interesting team to watch.
It really depends on their schedule.
I agree.
I think the AFC North is going to get at least 2.
Yeah.
And maybe 3 if Cleveland keeps doing what they do. But they might cancel each other out because they're going to start playing more division games. So
right.
Depending on when Baker comes back, I think it's probably only going to be 2. And if I had to bet, it would be the Bengals and the Ravens. But they could. I mean, like you say, Derek Carr has always been an enigma because he's been so up and down, and he's had years where he's been kind of just an average quarterback. But this year, you can tell he's got a little bit more weapons. And in that game, even though it's against the Eagles, he didn't have Darren Waller, so he was throwing the ball around and throwing it to other guys and making plays. So when he comes back, he's a mismatch. And you know they got Ruggs who can. He's good for a touchdown, or he's good for in fantasy like three catches, 101 yards, and like 2 touchdowns every 3 games. He's great for that. But outside of that, you know, Renfro's another solid guy that they have, and I guess you can say Brian Evers every once in a while. But yeah, they have some weapons. So I mean, and they have a pretty decent defense,
and they have a good O-line too. I mean, they're just a good football team that's just kind of lost at this point. And so it's like if they can find their way and you know deal with their interim head coaches and coordinators, I think they'll hover around that 6th or 7th slot. You know, because there is still the extra wild card now, right? Yeah. So I don't know. I don't foresee the Patriots really doing much. Granted, they do get to play, you know, the Jets and the Dolphins. So you got to keep in mind that, you know, same thing with, you know, Tennessee and Indianapolis playing the Jags and Texans twice a year too. So, you know, those 2 divisions, they could end up sneaking a wild card in purely because of those last couple divisional games that are definitely in, you know, the top half team's favor. So it'll be interesting for those couple teams.
Yeah. I would say the NFC is probably a little bit more clear in terms of teams that's probably going to make it versus the AFC because it's a little bit more clustered.
Yeah.
But like I say, it's the halfway point. You know, who knows? I am interested to see just the MVP race of how that's going to shake out with the couple of guys who are – because Derek Carr, you could also throw him in there.
Nah, stop it.
You could.
I don't know if I go that far.
Nah, stop him.
If he keeps winning, go look at his stats. He's got good.
I'll look at his stats. I'll look at Tom Brady's stats.
Well, Tom Brady's not playing anybody. That's why his stats are so high. He's stat padding. He's not having impact on games. He's stat padding.
Man, what are you talking about, man?
Go look who he's played. He's played nobody.
Yeah.
Like in the Miami games, he's staying into the 4th quarter. Voters are going to look at that. Kyler's been way more impressive than him. He's been way more. And Derek Carr, I feel like, has played just as good as Tom Brady with better competition.
It's all going to come down to who has the better. Like if Derrick Henry rushes for 2,020 touchdowns, they're going to give it to him.
Now,
right? If Brady throws for 50, they're going to give it to him. Right? If Kyler
that's why he
combines for 50.
But if Brady, I'll put it this way: if Brady comes this week against the States and throws like 2 touchdowns, I'm not giving him he better throw 4 touchdowns against the Saints. He has to do that. If he goes and plays mediocre against the Saints, I'm not giving him MVP because it'll be obvious.
He's got 4 wins already.
I think he's probably got like the only way he gets it if they go 14-3 this year.
It's very possible, man.
And that's what I'm saying.
You look at their schedule; it's a pretty soft schedule.
It is,
and it doesn't help because I mean I don't know in that division. I don't think the Saints can do anything with them because Jameis doesn't. He's not a guy who can.
Yeah, they play the Saints 2 more times. Like the Saints, like that Monday night game was horrible. That was a horrible game.
Painful.
Geno Smith and Jameis. I would never bet against him again.
Besides that
Yeah.
first play,
Kamara had
Yeah,
like
DK
10
Metcalf
receptions.
off one play gets pretty much all the points in fantasy on one play. So it's
Yep.
hilarious. Yeah, that was the only spotlight that game was horrible. But yeah, but you look at their schedule, man. They play the Carolina Panthers twice. That
That's
team,
Dub City.
you play the
Pick
Jets.
City.
What you have to play the Jets. That's automatic, though. You play the Saints twice. You play the Giants. You play Washington football team. You play Atlanta.
Major disappointment.
So the only real team they play left is Buffalo. If you look at their schedule, the only real team left is Buffalo.
I kind of forgot about Josh Allen too. That could be a game maybe. That if Josh Allen keeps playing well, he could be another dark horse. Because what are they? They only got one loss, right? Pretty sure.
I think
that was at the
beginning
of the year. That was kind of at the beginning of the year. So if they kind of run the table, because like I said, they're in AFC East too. They have two.
Yeah, also that Titans upset.
Anybody in the, I would say, what is that? The AFC East and the NFC South. It's the Bills and the Bucks. So I don't know when do the Bills and Bucks play. That could be kind of a de facto. Whoever wins that game could probably
whenever
be
time
for the.
Yeah.
That could be a de facto, whatever. Like say it's the middle of the season. I mean, who knows? But I just when I watch those Bucks games, it's just like Brady's great, not taken away from him, but it's like the teams are so easy. And he's just like out there. You could tell, like especially that Bears game. Like he was, the game was over in the third. Like he was still like playing. I think he threw that long touchdown or the one that went to God went down to the one in like the fourth quarter. I'm like, come on, man, just go sit down, put the ball cap on. Why you in there that late? Like that's just putting salt to the wound. But I don't know. The Bears did beat him last year, so I guess he felt it was personal.
Yeah, man, dude. He legit got concussed, man. He lost his time and didn't know how many downs were left, man. He was back with a vengeance, man.
And they were roasting him on Monday Night Football last night about it. Peyton and Eli, they had Tom Brady on. They were roasting him.
How about Marshawn cussing on like live TV like twice?
That was great. They also asked him. Do you prefer to run the ball or do you prefer to run a screen pass on 4th and 1 in the end zone? And he just said, "Oh, come on, guys, just give me the ball."
They definitely weren't happy with Marshawn. It'll probably be the last time he's on there. They don't play the cussing stuff, dude. It's so funny if you ever watch First Take, like when Stephen A's getting in his rant, you could tell he almost is getting ready to drop a cuss word, and it's like he's thinking in his head, like, Disney, like I can't do it. Disney does not play the curse words. Like we were saying, it's a bunch of NFL teams we're talking about. It's the middle of the season. We're gonna start getting more clarity because there'll be more division games. So you guys make sure you tune in for that. This last topic we want to get into was the NBA top 75. Caused a lot of controversy. It filled a lot of segments, a lot of the debate shows, because I probably saw at least 2 or 3 shows doing about 45 to 30 minutes on this sole topic. There was a lot of people who, for the most part, agreed with it, but I would say those were media heads. I think the people who are on Twitter, who are like regular people like us, had a lot of discussion in terms of where people would be in place. So I'm going to ask the guys, what were their snubs? What were their, I guess, gripes about the NBA 75? And P. Bush, I'm going to start with you, man.
I think there's a couple obvious ones. I know we talked about a couple pre-production, but, man, I got to go with Dwight Howard being snubbed, man. I mean, I personally, and Sean, you said this pre-production as well, man. It's, AD getting added there. Look, AD's a great player. Anthony Davis, pivotal to the big man position. I think he was really, also one of the first guys to really start stretching the floor after being a very defensive guy in college and early in his career. His trend upward has been unbelievable as a player. However, the only reason that he is in there is because he won that championship last year with LeBron. I mean, Dwight Howard was on that team too. Granted, he wasn't the star that he was, right? But he still has that one ring. Yes, AD added more to that. However, you have to take into account, he's got double the All-NBAs, Dwight Howard, compared to Anthony Davis. He's got more Defensive Player of the Years. I think he's got 3 of them. Same amount of All-Star selections. And you're looking at a guy that pretty much led a team by himself to the NBA Finals. One of the smallest NBA franchises.
No other All-Stars, man.
No other All-Stars. Jameer Nelson, I believe, has
had
one All-Star.
One fraudulent All-Star.
One fraudulent.
You got to put an asterisk in the East. That's what you got to put, man.
He's up there with the Zadrunas Ilgauskas picks and the Luol Deng picks of the All-Star.
And Kyle Korver making an All-Star team.
And Kyle Korver, yes. But that was a coach's pick because he was on the coach's team. So, look, man, Dwight, he's an absolute monster. He's probably the last true big man that we've really seen at that, high caliber of a player. And look, man, it's always going to be subjective, these lists. They're always going to include.
I don't think this is subjective at all. Because I think Dwight Howard, this dude dominated the 2010s as a center. He was like by far the best center in the NBA.
The best center.
Easily.
Post Shaq, it was Dwight Howard, and then it was like Yao Ming a couple of years. But Dwight Howard was the center of the era, right? And this dude dominated. This dude was in like top 5 in MVP voting with LeBron James and Kobe Bryant. Like he was in that discussion. So I'm like, he was in an era of Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, and this dude beat LeBron in the playoffs.
Yeah, and went to the finals.
Yeah, he beat LeBron James. This LeBron was averaging 38, 8, and 8. And Dwight Howard led his team because he dominated in the paint. And I just think it's so disrespectful to not having a guy that dominated one of the modern day eras, Superman. And I just feel like people just didn't like Dwight Howard for some reason.
Yeah, they don't like him.
He's like a little goofy, a little weird, whatever. I'm looking at the accolades. I'm looking at the achievements. Even now in his post prime, he's took a role as a role player now and helped winning a ring. He had multiple phases of his career, and this dude was straight up dominant, man. And I think it's so disrespectful not to have this guy in. And I love Dame Dollar. He has not had a career as Dwight Howard.
No.
Dame Dollar, obviously way more likable. This dude, Portland Trailblazers, never wanted to leave. Loyal. His career is not up there with Dwight Howard right now. Maybe in the future, after a couple more years. But Dwight Howard's career, that's a first ballot Hall of Fame career. He even won an Olympic gold medal. He was the starting center on an Olympic team. This dude defined the center position in the modern era.
I think, Zoo, that might be the first time you've ever backed up a big man argument.
I know, man. I know, man.
Breaking news.
I just had to throw that out there real quick.
We even talk about his defense, man. He legit manned the paint like no other. This guy was consensus defensive player of the year, manning the paint, rim protecting, man. And I still remember the
out of high school.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, out of high school. First overall pick, man. Living up to the hype. And I remember this dude, man, just destroying my boy Joakim Noah back in the day, man. Like a rag doll, man. Every time the Bulls play this dude, man, you gotta double team his ass because this dude was way too strong, man.
Oh, yeah.
Single covers, man. This guy murdered. And the craziest part is he's a center. He was physically not even that tall. He is 6'9", 6'10". He's six. He's if you see him stand next to LeBron James, LeBron a little they're the same height. Maybe LeBron a little taller. So this guy dominated the center position, and he was not that tall. He was not a Shaquille O'Neal, a 7-footer, or even a Joel Embiid. This dude dominated as a 6'9", 6'10" guy as a center position. So Dwight Howard, number one guy.
Biggest snub, easily.
Biggest snub. I'm just man, that's crazy.
You know what's crazy? I was looking at his he was an 8-time All-Star, and I think he was 8-time All-NBA.
Yeah, he's doubled AD's
The All-NBA is crazy. 8 times? That's not a lot of players in the history of the NBA that's done that. So to me, that's just it's a popularity thing. People don't like Dwight. Shaq, I feel has a lot to do with it because he hates how he mocked his whole Superman thing, which I think Dwight was just doing that because he kind of looked up to Shaq. I don't think he was trying to.
Yeah, Orlando.
He
was in Orlando. He was the previous big man. Yeah. They had similar careers, goofballs, off the court, man. They both led their team to the finals. Both came up short in Orlando.
Yeah.
Both went to the Lakers.
Similar.
It's like the same career path.
Yeah,
except for Shaq, which is more dominant. But yeah, it was very similar in terms of how they kind of did their whole, path. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, Dwight Howard, man.
Bill Walton should be on the list. I'm just going to say that. Bill Walton should not freaking be on the list. I'm sorry. He's
on every list, though, man, and it's horrible every time.
Yeah. I know he was a great player in his time frame, but just off of sheer minutes, you could almost say, or years played, it wasn't enough. Like I say, if we're going to do that and just do 1 to 2 year, I was saying this to people before we got on Zoo, if you want to do just sheer one little window, D-Rose should be on the list then. Because he had one of the more dominant performances when he was in that, I think it was 2011 when he won the MVP. And he did that over Bron when he was in Miami. And when Kobe was still in the league, still getting buckets. If we're going to do that, there's a lot of players we could do just 1 year stints for. A couple year stints for, I won't say 1 year.
Bill Walton, he had 2 good years.
Yeah.
Two Hall of Fame type years. So he made the top 50, so that's why they put him in.
Tracy McGrady, you're taking Bill Walton over Tracy McGrady and what Tracy McGrady did.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
My second biggest snub.
Because then if they want to say, if somebody would have said, we want to reward winning, then why ain't Dwight in there? Because he won a ring with the Lakers. and he got his team to the finals
by himself.
by himself.
Yeah,
against one of the best players or one of the best players that we've ever seen in LeBron James. One of the few best players. Like, what does that mean? That means nothing. Like I said, I just feel like it's a lot of. I don't know who votes on it. I don't know if it's media's or
it's media members, former NBA players. Like it's a lot of different people. They actually got a pretty variety of cats. That's why I was because I thought that was like she gonna get rid of the like make it more subjective and have like stuff like this not happen. Like Dwight Howard, that's legit. People didn't like him. That's why they didn't vote him in.
Right.
Like,
and that means media and players. Because you could say if players did it, then they'd be like, well, players probably just don't mess with Dwight because they think he's goofy. But then if you say strictly media, but then it seems like if all those people,
it was a big blend of like reporters, media guys, NBA guys, former. So
it's very, you know what this is very similar to is even though he got in was Terrell Owens not being a first ballot. That was strictly the media being stupid and haters. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He broke every record outside before, like I guess Jerry Rice. He broke every record. And this whole media, and I don't know how big are you guys on like talk sports, like First Take and Undisputed. But I think Skip Bayless had a huge part with that. I think his whole report, dude. And he and the thing about him is people always laugh at me when I say that. It's like, you think Skip Bayless really? I'm like, think about this though. He's a guy that's in the media. He's on he's on Fox, he's on ESPN, and like you say, with the narrative, he was able to spit that 5 days a week. So regardless if it's true or not, I think that impacted a lot of people. Because I watched a lot of people, like, 'cause I watch a lot of interviews with like players who don't or not with T.O. I don't hear a lot of players saying he was a bad guy. I don't.
It was really Donovan McNabb.
Yeah, Donovan, and I could kind of understand.
Yeah, Donovan
McNabb kind of.
They hate each other.
I could get why Donovan does. Like, T.O. said some really disrespectful stuff about Donovan McNabb.
Yeah.
He really did.
It was pretty bad.
Donovan McNabb, he was a really good quarterback for that little spurt when he was in Philly. But I'm starting to think now, I don't know if that was Andy Reid or him.
That was Andy Reid.
Yeah. And because he did it with Michael Vick, too.
It's Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. So that's probably my biggest beef is Bill Walton being on there. Trace McGrady, probably Dwight Howard.
Vince Carter. I got to put out Vince Carter, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Because like, if you think of like one of the greatest players ever, like cultural impact, like this guy impacted like future generations, too. Like his impact in the game, obviously individual talent-wise, this dude had it all. Athleticism, his three-point shot, his clutch ability. This guy had so many game-winning shots. His compilation is incredible. Like, this guy's one of the greatest athletes of all time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Vince Carter impacted a generation. Like, people wear number 15 because of Vince Carter.
Everywhere.
Like, so like he impacted the wing position. So I'm like, this guy, I was shocked that Vince Carter didn't make it either.
And the dunk contests, man. He took that thing to a next level.
Yeah. Like his impact on the game of basketball, man, incredible. So I was bummed at Vince Carter, but outside of that, I think those are the couple, like Dwight Howard, VC, obviously T-Max also impact on the game too. Those guys feel like, man, I would probably kick out some of the newer guys, like Dame Dollar.
Dame.
You can wait till the top 100 list.
AD,
you can wait till the top 100 list.
I agree.
Making a top 100 list. Would you, if they were like, there's 74, you can only pick one spot for Kyrie or Dame, who are you taking?
Dame.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people. There was a lot of people arguing for Kyrie, and I think it's the enamoration with how his style of game. I don't think people really realize his impact on winning, his overall and it's not really good.
He doesn't really have an impact on winning, man. Really, he played with LeBron and he won a ring. Yeah. And then he left LeBron and then he failed with the Celtics.
A loaded Celtics.
He failed previously with the Cavs.
Jaylen Brown.
Yeah. Previously with the Cavs because. My God, they were just drafting.
Don't forget about that.
Yeah, that was a train wreck. The Cavaliers, right, winning 33 games. That was the most wins he ever had as
before LeBron.
Yeah, before LeBron came over. Failed with the Celtics, then now failing with Brooklyn. So I'm just like, this guy hasn't gotten it done, and he's played with some good players, especially that Celtics team.
God,
that was a loaded team. That was a loaded team.
Look at what
good coaching, good young talent. Like they had it all. So, like
Marcus Smart, all those guys.
Yeah, that is
he had team. Gordon. I mean, no, Gordon Hayward got hurt, but he had that. That's the more indictment on me, or not on me, but on Kyrie. I think the Celtics situation, like that, was such a laid out, and that was too with LeBron kind of towards. I think that was like maybe towards the end of his Cleveland run. he and then Kyrie kind of showed it to the game. I think he was like hurt, sick, but then he was like chilling on the sideline on Game 7. It's just like a lot of stuff that goes with him. But a lot of people and I don't know if it's just my feed is always, I follow a bunch of different type of people on Twitter, so it could just be a bunch of idiots. But a lot of people are arguing Kyrie, and I just think it's so much people were enamored. He's and say, if we were doing an NBA top 20 or 75 in terms of just style of game and talent, just in terms of his finishes.
Yeah, I would say
crosses,
talent.
He would be top 15. He's way better to watch. But
so smooth.
No, he's not 75. But yeah, I mean, James Harden, Kevin Durant, they're in there, things of that nature. I think they were no-brainers.
No-brainers.
But yeah, that's just a couple of the people that I had issues with not making it. If I had to pick between Dame and Anthony, I honestly would probably say Dame. Because I really do think Anthony's helped by that last title. If he don't get that title, I don't think. And it's not to say nothing because Anthony Davis is skill-wise. Same thing with Kyrie. There's not a lot of guys that are 6'10", running around doing through the legs, dribbling full court. So I get the talent. But yeah, there's a couple guys should have been on that list before him, though.
You could only play devil's advocate against Dame. Look, it's not even really his franchise. It's not even it's his franchise really that's kind of screwed him over. But at the same time, all those other guys that are on that list, man, they took their career in their own hands and they went to go get those championships, right? Dame's been more content with staying there, and that's totally fine. He's won some big series there.
He had a bad night last night.
Hitting huge shots throughout his career there. He just hasn't really progressed on that team. I mean, as a player individually, for sure. But he's not a guy that's going to make everybody else around him better. That's just not his gameplay.
Yeah.
But you can't say the same thing about Kyrie either. So, I don't know, man.
What are you guys thoughts about Reggie Miller making it?
I think he got hyped up with the whole thing with Jordan. Probably just that rivalry, I think, helped him a lot. That's not to say he wasn't one of the greatest shooters ever. I'm not going to say that, but
took his team to the finals.
If there's another guy you would want to argue that's on a stub list, Reggie Miller would be okay. You would want to argue Anthony against him, Dame, and then Reggie would be the third or fourth guy. But okay, let's argue who we should take off instead of him, who we should put on instead of him. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. I could see that because Reggie Miller, he's a great shooter, but did Ray Allen make it?
Ray Allen made it.
You got to.
I would take Ray over. I would take.
Ray easily. Ray over Reggie Miller. Ray over Reggie Miller.
Yeah.
In terms of that shooting. But I still think you have to include Reggie because I think he opened the door for all these guys.
Yeah, he impacted
the phone booth shooter, man.
Yeah, the two guard
running off screens. I mean, he
solidified. It was Steph Curry's favorite player. Steph Curry's favorite player. So he impacted the shooting position.
If they put Bill Walton on there, you better damn believe Reggie Miller is going to be on there too.
Rip Hamilton, that's Reggie Miller's son. I guess you could say Ray Allen's Reggie Miller's son. He's got a couple of sons out there. And then when they say you go
Clay.
from
Clay. And
Clay's
Steph Curry is the
Clay's another guy that he's a fringe guy because
he's
Clay
the 2.0.
Yeah, dude, he's the upgrade, man. He's Reggie Miller with freaking handles, man.
Yeah. Reggie's got a couple sons and nephews. And then if you really want to go down to sons and nephews, James Harden maybe in that mold just in terms of two guard position. Even though you could kind of argue James is a point guard, but how he can pass. Clay's another guy. I think his defense gets slept on a lot. He's when in his heyday, he was a great
in his heyday. Guy. Maybe not
now.
Anymore,
After two catastrophic injuries, man.
Yeah, it's probably gone now.
Yeah,
I think he was a partial snub too. I think.
But if you think with the sorry to cut you off, but do you think I just thought about this, a lot of these teams in the modern guys, I would say, they really, if these dynasties like the Spurs and the Warriors, for come an example, they're only picking the first guys. They're not picking Manu, Tony, and like you say with the Warriors, they didn't pick Draymond which I don't know how that's even.
Man, if Draymond made it, man,
that would have been bad.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I just thought of one. Dennis Rodman.
No. I think the players don't respect him.
Dennis Rodman as a basketball player is the greatest rebounder of all time, but that was the only thing.
Yeah, he was a niche guy. He's a niche guy.
Basketball court. Yeah. So, a lot of the players we named, Dwight Howard, he did all the defensive rebounding, but he had an offensive game. So I'm Dennis Rodman, that guy, off the list.
Yeah, definitely.
list,
He's a niche.
I felt like the MJ documentary helped out Dennis Rodman's legend.
Helped out a
Like,
lot
I
of
felt
guys.
Absolutely.
I felt like that, like especially the off the court stuff. Like
Yeah,
this guy's
that's
a
what
legend
it
off
is.
the court.
That's- yeah.
I felt like
Remember the lights after-
that impacted this list because like no way Dennis Rodman is one of the 75 best players of all time when the dude couldn't hit a jump shot outside of 10 feet, man. Like he was a defensive player, he was a rebounder, offensive rebounder, and that was it. He was not. He couldn't shoot.
He can guard
at
the
all, man.
perimeter.
He could defend. Like he's a defensive, but offensively, he could shoot it all, man.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
he made layups, man. He's like Ben Wallace on offense. Like he just didn't have no offensive game. So yeah, Dennis Rodman shouldn't have been on the list.
That's a good point. I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
but
just got the legend behind him, man.
Yeah. Nah.
What are you gonna do?
Drinking the Millers. That I still can't get over that. Like he was drinking Miller Lights and like literally got on like a Harley and just like drove off from the United Center. That like thinking about that now, like if he was doing any of that shit now, that would just be totally unaccepted. Like it's crazy that he was able to get that off during those
no social media
championships. Yeah. That's probably the number one answer right there. Yeah, no social.
Oh
media.
yeah.
Because there's trust and believe, if he was doing that during the social media era, there would have been a bunch of videos. Could you imagine Bleacher Report and House of Highlights capturing freaking Dennis Rodman every day, like every night game after he gets 20 rebounds in a game. He's like at whatever the hottest club is in Chicago. I could definitely see that. But yeah, he's a guy that definitely got helped with the documentary, and like I say, the errors, man. They're going to reward the guys that were on that Bulls team, which I'm not mad at. But Bill Walton should be on that list. This is probably my only biggest beef, I would say. But I guess we'll talk about this again when the NBA Top 100 comes out. I think there'll be less discussion in terms of, who shouldn't be on. Because after you get through the 100, it's kind of, that's 25 years from now. But
25 years, man, there'll be a lot of new nice players, man. The game's going to keep modernizing.
Yeah. I think Luka's a lock. Luka's definitely a lock.
I think Luka's a lock, yeah. Ja Morant.
Ja might be a lock.
That dude is dude. It reminds me of D-Rose so much, man. Of course. When he dunks, man, the way he dunks, this reminds me of young D-Rose. Like it reminds me of young D-Rose.
And look, he don't care.
Zoo, he even missed the free throw at the end of the game, just like Rose.
Yeah, that does remind me of D-Rose, man. That dude missed a lot of free throws, man. He was not the best free throw shooter. Yeah. My God, Ja. So
Ja he's a monster. I think he's definitely trying to stake claim in being in that top 10, top 5 point guards.
Oh, easily.
And the NBA is loaded with freaking point guards, dude. You could almost argue every team has a good one. Or at least one that you would be like, okay, I'm good. Like there's pretty much every team has a either all-star level one, all NBA guy, or a really, really good starting one. Like there's not a lot of NBA teams that don't have point guards, and that just shows you the depth of the league. I would hate to be a point guard coming in now.
No, yeah,
because every night you don't have a day
so much
off.
competition.
You don't have a day off. You got to guard every night. If not, you're gonna get torched, or you better be able to come back with unless you're Lonzo. Lonzo can guard, but outside of that, there's not a lot of.
My God, Lonzo Ball's defense, beautiful.
It
is beautiful to watch. Yeah, this dude off the ball, man. He is such a good shot blocker, man. Yeah, like he comes off weak side, man. Yep. Man, his hands in the passing lanes, man. This dude touches the ball like every possession, man. He doesn't even need to get the basketball, man. This dude gets the ball, man. This guy gets the basketball, man. This dude, man, all that high IQ, man. I love his defensive IQ.
Except when he threw the ball over and almost blew the game.
Oh,
against the Raptors.
Oh my Lord.
His only mistake so far.
Dude, that was atrocious.
Oh,
that was atrocious.
Tough game.
Thank God they
pulled it out.
Yeah.
My God. 4-0.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking a whole lot more NFL. As you say, the weeks will keep going. Say we're at the midway point, so we're going to get a more clarity on what's going to be going on with the divisions and start looking at the playoff picture with that. Like I said, the NBA is still in its infant stages. We're going to be periodically going through. Like I said, there's still trades to be made. Oh, and the NFL trade deadline is actually coming up real soon. I don't think there's going to be anything major, but if something drops, whatever, we'll definitely talk about that.
Deshaun to the Bears.
Yeah. Dude, he's got a
whole lot more options, Justin Fields already?
No, I'm just saying they might just do it just because they're panicking.
Yeah. He's got a couple of teams laid out. I think Miami is still in his crosshairs, but who knows? It could be whoever, I know he's got the no trade clause, but you also got to look at what weapons do you have. Like Miami's got a couple, Carolina, whoever. So it's going to be something that if it does break, we're going to definitely lead the show with that and talk about that. Like I said, NBA's in its infant stages, bunch of early games. Doesn't really matter what's going on. NBA doesn't really start picking up till like Christmas and things like that when you start getting clarity on who's doing what in that league. But as usual, make sure you guys subscribe to our podcast on YouTube. Going to start doing some shorts for that, things that are similar to IG Reels on YouTube. So you guys watch out for that for the page. Subscribe to all of our platforms, Instagram, Twitter at bullheaded_pod. Make sure you guys look into our audio side with Anchor, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the whole nine. And as usual, for me, Zoo and B Bush, we're out.